I'm Dr. Michael Chen, and I've been a therapist for 28 years. I've seen hundreds of patients, heard thousands of stories, witnessed countless transformations. But Daniel Andrade's story haunts me in ways the others don't. Not because he failed. Many patients fail. But because he succeeded at changing and it didn't matter. He transformed completely, became a different person, took full responsibility, did all the work. And he still died alone. That's what haunts me. The futility of it. The tragedy of transformation that comes too late. Daniel walked into my office 3 years ago. November afternoon. Cold, gray. He looked exhausted, defeated, hollow. "Mr. Andrade?" "Yes. Come in. Please sit." He sat, looked around my office, at the books, the degrees on the wall, the comfortable chair, the box of tissues on the table. "You have tissues ready. Most people cry. Some do. Will I? I don't know. Will you?" He thought about that. "Probably. What brings you here today?" "My wife left me. Took my kids. I came home from a business trip and they were gone. Everything was gone." "I'm sorry. How long ago?" 3 weeks. Have you spoken to her?" "Once. She said she gave me 20 years. That she's done. Done waiting, done hoping, done being married to someone who's never there." "And what do you think about that?" "I think she's right. That's a significant admission." "Yeah. Most people don't start there. Start where? Taking responsibility. Usually there's denial first. Anger, blame, excuses. I don't have excuses. I did this. I chose work over them. For 20 years. I missed birthdays, recitals, ordinary dinners. I built buildings and destroyed my family. And that's on me. Why are you here, Daniel? To fix it. To figure out how to get them back." "I see. Can you help me do that?" "No. Why not?" "Because that's not how this works. You can't therapy your way back into someone's life after 20 years of absence. But I can change. I am changing. I'm sure you are. But change doesn't entitle you to forgiveness. Doesn't guarantee they'll come back. So what's the point? The point is becoming someone who wouldn't make those choices again. Not for them. For yourself. I don't know if I can do that. Then this won't work. Therapy requires honesty, self-examination, willingness to face uncomfortable truths. If you're only here to get your family back, you're here for the wrong reason. What's the right reason? To become someone you can live with. Someone who shows up, who's present, who chooses differently, even if no one's watching, even if it doesn't fix anything. Can you do that? I don't know, but I want to try. Okay? Then let's start. We met 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Intensive, more than most patients. But Daniel needed it. Needed the structure, the accountability, the witness. Our first month was excavation, digging into why. Why did you choose work over family? Because work was easier. Easier how? I knew how to be excellent at work. Knew the rules, the measures of success, the path to achievement. But at home, I didn't know how to be enough. What does enough look like? I don't know, that's the problem. At work, enough is measurable. Billable hours, completed projects, awards, recognition. But at home, what's enough? Being there? For what? Dinner, bedtime, weekends? All of it seemed arbitrary, undefined. So you avoided it. Yeah, I avoided it. Chose the place where I could win. Where's your father, Daniel? Dead. He died 10 years ago. Were you close? No? Why not? Same reason my kids aren't close to me. He was never there. Always working, always traveling, always choosing career over family. So you repeated the pattern. I swore I wouldn't. Swore I'd be different. But I became him anyway. How does that feel? Devastating. Like I had one job. Be different than my father. And I failed. That's significant awareness, is it? Or is it just obvious? You'd be surprised how many people can't see their patterns. Can't connect their childhood to their choices. You're seeing it clearly. That's the first step. What's the second step? Changing the pattern. Choosing differently. even though it's too late, even though they're gone, choosing differently anyway. Why? If it doesn't get them back, why bother? Because you have to live with yourself. Because becoming someone different is the work, not the reward, the work itself. I don't know if I can do that. You can. It just requires commitment, consistency, willingness to feel uncomfortable. Are you willing? I have to be. What choice do I have? You always have a choice. You can stay the same, stay miserable, stay absent, or you can change, build a different life. A smaller one? A more honest one? I want to change. Okay, then let's do the work. Second month, we focused on grief. What are you grieving, Daniel? Everything. My marriage, my kids, my family, the life I thought I had. What else? The person I thought I was. Who did you think you were? Someone important, someone exceptional, someone building something that mattered. And now? Now I don't know. I'm just a guy who lost everything, who failed at the things that actually matter. That's honest. It doesn't feel honest. It feels pathetic. There's a difference between pathetic and honest. Pathetic is avoiding responsibility. Honest is facing it. You're facing it. That takes courage. I don't feel courageous. I feel broken. Broken can be the start of rebuilt. Can it? Yeah, it can. But you have to sit in the broken first. Feel it. Accept it. Grieve it. Before you can build something new. How long does that take? As long as it takes. There's no timeline, no checklist, just the work. Day by day. Choice by choice. That sounds exhausting. It is. But it's also necessary. Do you think they'll ever forgive me? I don't know. Does it matter? Of course it matters. Does it? Or are you making your healing dependent on their response? I don't know. Think about it. If they never forgive you, never speak to you again, never want you in their lives, can you still build a life worth living? I don't know. That's the work, Daniel. Figuring out how to be okay even if they're not okay with you, even if they never come back, even if this is permanent. I don't know if I can do that. You can. But you have to separate your healing from their forgiveness. They're not the same thing. Third month, we worked on identity. Who are you without your achievements, Daniel? I don't know. Try. I'm an architect. That's what you do. Not who you are. I don't understand the difference. What you do is your profession. Who you are is your character, your values, your choices. Separate from achievement. I don't know how to separate them. I've been an architect for 30 years. It's who I am. No, it's what you've done. Who you are is underneath that. Strip away the job, the awards, the recognition. Who's left? I don't know. That's terrifying. It is. But it's also freeing. Because if your identity isn't tied to achievement, then failure doesn't destroy you. But I did fail at the things that matter. Yes, you did. And you're still here, still breathing, still capable of choice. That means something. Does it? Yes, it means you can rebuild. Not the same thing. Something different. Something quieter. Something that doesn't require applause. What does that look like? I don't know yet. We'll figure it out together. Fourth month, Daniel started changing. Concrete changes, measurable ones. He cut back work, 3 days a week instead of 7, started teaching, community college, intro to architecture, began volunteering, community center, teaching kids basic design. He came to sessions lighter, still sad, still grieving, but different. You seem different today. I am. How so? I taught my first class yesterday. How was it? Terrifying. Good. I had 12 students. Eager. Hungry. Reminded me of myself at that age. What did you tell them? I told them not to make my mistakes. Not to sacrifice everything for success. Not to believe achievements matter more than people. How did they respond? One girl, Emily, stayed after class. Said she needed to hear that she was heading down the same path. Obsessed. Willing to sacrifice everything. She thanked me. How did that feel? Strange. Good. Like maybe my failure could mean something, could teach something, could help someone choose differently. That's significant, Daniel. Is it? Yes. You're finding meaning in your mistakes, purpose in your failure. That's redemption. I don't feel redeemed. You're not supposed to. Not yet. But you're building toward it. One choice at a time. 5th month, Marina got engaged. Daniel came to session devastated. She's engaged. I heard. How do you feel? Numb, sad, relieved, happy for her. All of it. That's complicated. Yeah. She deserves someone who shows up, who's present, who chooses her. I'm glad she found that. Even if it's not you. Yeah. Even if it's not me. Does it feel final now? Yeah, it does. Before there was this small hope, this maybe. Maybe if I change enough. Maybe if I try hard enough. Maybe if I prove I'm different. But now she's marrying someone else. And that door is closed. How does that feel? Like grief. Like losing her all over again. But also like closure. Like I can stop hoping. Stop waiting. Stop making my healing dependent on her response. That's growth, Daniel, is it? Yes. You're accepting reality, letting go, building a life that doesn't require their participation, their forgiveness, their approval. That sounds lonely, it is. But it's also honest. 6th month, Daniel sold his house, the one he'd finished. Every room, every promise. 8 years late. I sold the house. Why? I can't stay there. Too many ghosts, too many reminders of things completed too late. Where will you go? Small apartment, 1 bedroom, minimal. Something I can maintain, something finished. That's symbolic. Is it? Yes, you're letting go. Not just of them, but of the physical space. The monument to your failure. Your too late transformation. I never thought of it that way. But you're right. That house was proof. Proof I could change. Proof I could complete things. Proof I could keep promises. But it was also proof I waited too long. Yeah, exactly. So you're releasing it? Yeah, I am. How does that feel? Sad, relieving, necessary. All of those are valid. 7th month, Lucas got into MIT. Well, he came to session quiet. Yeah, Marina told Raphael. Why do you think that is? Doesn't want me to be proud of something I didn't contribute to. And he's right. That must hurt. Nothing. Respect his boundary. Let him have this. Let him build his life without me. It's mature. Can be letting go. I guess so. Are you angry at Lucas for excluding you? No. I'm sad, but not angry. He has every right to exclude me. I excluded him for 20 years. This is just consequences. That's significant ownership, Daniel, is it? Yes. You're accepting responsibility without resentment, without bitterness. That's growth. I don't feel like I'm growing. I feel like I'm shrinking, becoming smaller, less significant. You are becoming smaller, in the best way. Smaller ego, smaller need for recognition, smaller attachment to achievement. That's not a bad thing. It feels like failure. It feels like becoming less. You're not becoming less. You're becoming real, authentic, human-sized instead of achievement-sized. There's a difference. I don't know if I like being human-sized. Most people don't. We're trained to be exceptional, to stand out, to achieve. But human-sized is enough. Actually enough. I'm trying to believe that. Keep trying. It'll become true eventually. 8th month, Daniel's apartment was broken into. Nothing stolen, just vandalized. He came to session shaken. Someone broke into my apartment. When? Last night, while I was at my volunteer shift. What did they take? Nothing. Just destroyed things. Broke dishes, threw books, tore up papers. Did you call the police? Yeah. They said it was probably random, kids, vandalism. But it didn't feel random. What did it feel like? Like a message. Like the universe saying you don't even deserve this. This small space, this minimal life. Even this is too much for you. That's catastrophizing, Daniel. Is it? Or is it true? It's not true. It was random. Bad luck. Not a cosmic judgment. It feels like judgment. I know. But feelings aren't facts. You've worked hard to build this life, this small, honest life. Some kids breaking in doesn't negate that. Doesn't mean you don't deserve it. I spent 2 hours cleaning up, picking up broken things, throwing away ruined books, and I just kept thinking this is my life now. Small, broken, alone. Your life isn't broken. It's being rebuilt. There's a difference. I can't see the difference. Then let me see it for you, until you can see it yourself. That's what I'm here for. 9th month, Daniel started dating. Tentatively, nervously. At my suggestion. I went on a date. How was it? Awkward. Tell me about it. Her name is Anne. Teacher. Elementary school, like Marina. We met at a coffee shop. Talked for an hour. She was nice, kind, patient, and I felt guilty. Guilty why? Like I was betraying Marina. But Marina is engaged to someone else. She's moved on. I know. Logically, I know that. But emotionally, I still feel married. That's normal. You were married for 20 years. Those feelings don't disappear overnight. Will they ever disappear? Eventually. With time. With distance. With new experiences. Are you going to see Anne again? I don't know. Should I? Do you want to? I think so. She was easy to talk to, present, interested. But it feels wrong. Like I'm giving up on my family. You're not giving up. You're accepting reality. They've moved on. You're allowed to as well. I don't know if I'm ready. That's fair. But Daniel? Yeah? You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing to try, willing to be uncomfortable, willing to see what happens. I can try. Good. That's all I'm asking. He saw Anne 3 more times, then stopped. She was wonderful, but I couldn't do it. Couldn't be present with her while still grieving Marina. That's honest. Yeah. She deserved someone who was fully there, not someone who was half present, half grieving, half hoping his ex-wife would change her mind. Did you tell her that? Yeah. She was understanding. Said to call her if I ever get to a place where I'm ready. Will you? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I'm supposed to be alone, supposed to sit with what I did, with who I was, with the consequences. You're not supposed to be alone forever. But for now, maybe alone is right. Maybe that's the work. Learning to be alone without being lonely. That's profound, Daniel. Is it? Or is it just sad? Both. It's both. 10th month, I started noticing changes in Daniel. Physical ones. He looked tired. Worn. Older than his 52 years. Are you sleeping? Not well. How many hours? 4. Maybe 5. That's not enough. I know. Why aren't you sleeping? I don't know. Stress, maybe. Anxiety. Grief. All of it. Have you seen a doctor? No. You should. Get blood work. Make sure everything's okay. I will. But he didn't. Looking back, that was a sign. The first indication something was wrong. But I didn't push. Didn't insist. Just noted it. Moved on. That's one of my regrets. 11th month, Daniel finished writing letters. To Sophia, to Lucas, 52 letters, 1 per week for a year. He told me about them. I've been writing letters to Sophia and Lucas every week for a year. Do you send them? No. Why not? Because I don't want to burden them. Don't want to force my regret, my apology, my love on them when they didn't ask for it. So why write them? Because I need to. Need to say the things I never said. Need to take responsibility. Need to tell them I love them even if they never want to hear it. What will you do with the letters? I don't know. Maybe give them to Raphael. Ask him to deliver them after I'm gone. After you're gone? Yeah, whenever that is. Are you planning something, Daniel? No. God, no. I'm not suicidal. I just mean eventually. When I die, whenever that happens, you're 52. That could be 30 years from now. Maybe, or maybe not. My father died at 62. Heart attack. Same thing could happen to me. Have you seen a doctor? Not yet, but I will. Daniel. Yeah? See a doctor. Get checked out. Make sure you're okay. I will. I promise. He didn't. That's another regret. I should have insisted. Should have made the appointment myself. Should have done more. But I didn't. 12th month, Daniel seemed at peace, calmer, more settled, more accepting. You seem different today. Do I? How so? Peaceful. Like you've accepted something. I think I have. What? That this is my life. Small. Quiet. Without them. And that's okay. Not great. Not what I wanted. But okay. That's significant, Daniel. Is it? Yes. Acceptance isn't resignation. It's peace. It's letting go of what you can't control. Focusing on what you can. What can I control? Your choices. Your presence. Your contribution. How you show up. Who you become. Even if no one's watching, especially then. I'm teaching 20 students next semester. That's wonderful. I'm volunteering twice a week. Good. I'm writing, journaling, processing, trying to understand myself. That's the work. Yeah, it is. And I'm okay. Not happy. But okay. And okay is enough. For now. For now, okay is enough. That was our last session. 2 weeks later, Daniel died, heart attack, alone in his apartment. Rafael called me. Dr. Chen? Yes, this is Rafael Costa, Daniel Andrade's business partner. Yes. Hello, Rafael. Daniel spoke of you. I'm calling because Daniel died. Heart attack. 2 days ago. I'm sorry to hear that. How are you? Devastated. Guilty. Me too. You shouldn't feel guilty. You tried to help him. Not hard enough. I should have made him see a doctor. Should have insisted. You can't force someone to take care of themselves. You can only offer support. Which you did. It wasn't enough. Perhaps not. But it was something. And Daniel knew that.
He talked about you often. That your sessions were the only place he felt seen, even when the work was hard. Thank you for telling me that. After I hung up, I sat in my office. Our conversations, he did everything right. Became someone different. That's what haunts me. The funeral was small. I didn't speak. Sighed Daniel was brilliant but obsessed. That he regretted not intervening sooner. Sighed Daniel was a great teacher. Then it was over. I stayed after everyone left. Looked at it. You took responsibility. You became someone different. I'm sorry it wasn't enough. I'm sorry you died alone. But it mattered, even if you never got them back. I hope you knew that. That becoming someone different was the point, not the reward. After the funeral, I couldn't stop thinking about Daniel, about his last session, about the things I missed. Patient presents with acute grief following marital separation. No denial. Motivated to change. Patient demonstrating consistent behavioral change. Reduced work hours. Volunteering. Engaging in meaningful activities. Still grieving but functional. Continues to hope for reconciliation. Working on acceptance. Patient reports Marina engaged. Significant grief response. Recognizing he cannot control others' choices. Focusing on his own growth. Progress noted. Session 60. Patient selling house. Moving to minimal apartment. Finding peace in smaller existence. Session 80. Recommended medical evaluation. Patient has not seen doctor. Patient attributes to busy schedule. That was 2 sessions before he died. To push harder. I called Rafael a week after the funeral. I'm okay. You? The same. Of course. In the last few months. Tired. He looked tired, worn. Did he mention any symptoms? Twice. He didn't. His primary care physician hasn't seen him in 2 years. Why didn't he go? Or maybe he just didn't care about taking care of himself. On life, on himself. Teaching. Maybe he was showing up for everyone else but not himself. That's a profound observation. It's just a guess. But maybe he learned to be present for others, but never learned to be present for himself. That fits. Then hung up. His volunteer kids never prioritized his own care, his own health, his own well-being. That's the missing piece. Sophia called me 2 months after the funeral. Dr. Chen? Yes. Who is this? Sophia Andrade. How are you? I'm okay. Of course. Or was he just performing? Performing for who? For us. He wasn't performing. How do you know? Because he did the work even after he knew you weren't coming back. Even after it was clear his transformation wouldn't fix anything. Because becoming someone different was the point. Sometimes that he wished he'd been different, that he didn't expect forgiveness. Just wanted you to know he'd changed, even if you never saw it. But also peaceful, like he'd accepted what he'd done. The ones he left me, how were they? Honest, just owned what he did. I wanted to hate them. Wanted to be angry that he wrote them but never sent them. Because they were too honest. Allowed to be sad and angry and grateful all at once. But it's exhausting. It is. That's grief. Especially complicated grief.
For someone you barely knew. For the relationship that never was. Yeah, exactly. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think he knew he was going to die? No, I don't think so. He talked about the future, about next semester's classes, about long-term plans. If he knew he was dying, he wouldn't have talked like that. That's comforting somehow. Knowing he didn't choose this, didn't give up, just ran out of time. Yes, he ran out of time. But he used the time he had well. In the end, yeah, I guess he did. We talked for another 20 minutes about Daniel, about therapy, about healing. When we hung up, I felt lighter, like I'd given her something. Closure, maybe. Or just perspective. Lucas never called, never reached out. I didn't expect him to. Some people process privately. Some need distance. Some never want to revisit. That's valid, too. 6 months after Daniel's death, Raphael sent me something. An email. Dr. Chen, I wanted you to have this. It's an email I received from one of Daniel's students. I thought you'd want to see it. That his work mattered. That his story changed someone. Attached was Emily's email. The one about turning down the prestigious job. About choosing presence. About Daniel's story mattering. I read it 3 times. Cried. Called Raphael. Thank you for sending that. Of course, I thought you should know that he made a difference. He did. His failure taught someone, changed someone. That's legacy. Yeah, that's real legacy. I've been speaking about Daniel's story at architecture schools, firms, conferences, with permission from Marina and Sophia. That's good. That's important. People need to hear it. They do, and they listen. Some cry, some thank me, some say they were heading down the same path, that the story woke them up. Daniel would be glad. Yeah, I think he would. Raphael? Yes? Take care of yourself. See your doctor. Get checked. Don't repeat Daniel's pattern. I am. I have been. Since he died, I get checked every 6 months. Blood work, heart, everything. Good. Keep doing that. I will. We hung up. I sat in my office. Thought about legacy. About what lasts. Daniel's buildings will stand for decades. Maybe centuries. But his real legacy is the people who heard his story, who changed because of it, who chose differently. That's what lasts. not the structures, the stories, the lessons, the warnings. I started incorporating Daniel's story into my practice, not naming him, but using the themes, the patterns, the lessons. How many of you prioritize work over relationships? Most hands go up. Why? Because work is measurable, controllable, predictable, and relationships, messy, complicated, vulnerable, so you avoid them. Some nods, some uncomfortable shifting. I had a patient once, brilliant architect, spent 30 years building a career, missed his kids' childhoods, his wife left, his children stopped talking to him, and then he died, alone, with 6 people at his funeral. Silence, heavy, uncomfortable. He changed, in the end, went to therapy, cut back work, started teaching, became someone different, but it was too late. His family was gone. He died alone anyway. So what's the point? Someone asks. The point is he did the work anyway. Not to get them back, but to become someone he could live with, someone who wouldn't make those choices again, even if no one was watching. That's the work, not the reward, the work itself. More silence. Then someone says, I think I need to call my daughter. Good. Do that. Today. Don't wait until it's too late. I've had dozens of these conversations, with patients, with colleagues, with strangers who hear Daniel's story. Some listen. Some change. Some go home and show up. That's Daniel's legacy. Not the buildings, the wake-up calls, the changed lives, the phone calls made, the dinners attended, the presents chosen. 1 year after Daniel's death, I closed his file, put it in the archive cabinet, with hundreds of others. But it felt different, heavier, more significant. I wrote a final note. Daniel Andrade. Deceased. November 2026. Patient engaged in intensive therapy for 3 years. Demonstrated significant behavioral change. Took full responsibility for past choices. Became consistently present in new roles. Teaching, volunteering, contributing. Achieved genuine transformation. Died alone due to heart attack. No prior medical intervention despite recommendations. Prognosis in retrospect. Patient succeeded in therapeutic goals. Became different person. Achieved self-awareness and acceptance. However, transformation came too late to repair primary relationships. Patient died having changed but without reconciliation. Clinical note. This case demonstrates the tragedy of late-stage transformation. Patient did everything right therapeutically but could not undo decades of damage. His story serves as cautionary tale. Change is possible, but timing matters. Some things once broken cannot be repaired, only grieved. Patient's legacy lives in those who learned from his mistakes. Multiple reports of behavioral change in others who heard his story. This is meaningful impact despite personal tragedy. Final assessment. Daniel Andrade was a good patient. He did the work. He changed genuinely. He faced his failures honestly. He died alone, but he died different. That matters. That has to matter. I closed the file, put it away, sat in the silence, and I thought about all my patients, past and present. How many are heading down Daniel's path? How many are choosing achievement over connection? How many will wake up too late? My job is to help them wake up sooner, to see the pattern before it's irreversible, to choose differently while there's still time. That's what I learned from Daniel. Not that change is futile, but that timing is everything. That you can transform completely and still lose. That becoming someone different doesn't guarantee anyone will witness it. But you do it anyway. Not for applause, not for forgiveness, not for reconciliation. You do it because it's the work. Because becoming someone you can live with is the only thing that matters. Even if you die alone, even if 6 people come to your funeral, even if your transformation comes too late, you do it anyway. That's what Daniel taught me. That's his legacy. That's what I carry forward into every session, with every patient, in every intervention. Daniel's story. 2 years after Daniel's death, I got a letter for university. I opened it. Dear Dr. Chen, my name is Lucas Andrade. You were my about everything. His actual death didn't change anything about what he was like in those last years. I don't know why I'm writing this. To believe you have more time. I work 80 hours a week. I have a girlfriend. She complains I'm never present, always thinking about research. And I hear myself making the same excuses my father made. Just this one deadline. Just this one paper. Just this one conference. I'm becoming him. And that terrifies me. So I'm writing to ask, did he really change? Or was he just going through the motions? Performing transformation to try to get us back? I need to know. Because if he really changed, if someone that far gone can actually become different, maybe I can catch myself before I lose everything. If you're willing, I'd like to talk. I'm not there yet. Maybe never will be. But from a place of curiosity, of wanting to understand. I understand if you can't talk about patient confidentiality, but if you can, I'd appreciate it. I read it 3 times, sat with it, thought about what to do. Patient confidentiality is complicated after death. Technically, I could speak. Daniel was deceased. Got guidance. Then yes. I got your letter. I'd be happy to talk with you. About your father. About who he became. Really? Yes. When are you free? I'm in California. Perfect. Same eyes, same intensity. Because he did the work even after he knew you weren't coming back. Even after it was clear his transformation wouldn't fix anything. He kept showing up, kept doing the work. Why? Just becoming someone he could live with. That's what Raphael said too. It's true. Your father took full responsibility, no excuses. What did he say about us, about me and Sophia? He said he loved you, that he understood why you kept your distance, but also peaceful. Like he'd accepted it, that he couldn't fix it, changed anyway. But he committed, came 3 times a week for 3 years, never missed a session, never gave up, even when it was hard, even when it hurt, even when it didn't change anything. I kept a notebook when I was a kid. How? Your mother told Raphael. Raphael told your father. 127 broken promises. Yes, didn't realize. Then he said, of course you kept track. Of course you documented. You're logical, observant. Of course you'd collect evidence. Was he angry? No, he was devastated. But he understood, said it was fair, that you had every right to document his failures. He knew that too. Said it meant you'd already moved on. Already accepted who he was. Already stopped hoping. That makes sense. Can I ask you something, Dr. Chen? Of course. Of me getting into MIT, getting my PhD? Yes. But not in a taking credit way, no. He was very clear about that. Said he didn't contribute to your achievement, didn't deserve credit. But he was proud anyway. Proud of who you'd become despite him. Lucas shifted on screen. Looked uncomfortable. What's wrong? My girlfriend, she's threatening to leave. Says I'm never present. Never there. Always working. Always distracted. I hear myself making the same excuses. Just this one deadline. Just this one project. Just this one conference. And I realize I'm becoming him. Are you? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I'm catching it earlier. Maybe I can change before I lose everything. You can. But you have to choose to. Have to prioritize differently. Have to be present. Actually present. How? How do I do that without sacrificing my career? You don't have to sacrifice your career, just integrate it with your life, set boundaries. Work reasonable hours. Be there for dinner, for weekends, for ordinary moments. But what if I fall behind? Behind who? Other researchers? Other candidates? People who work all the time? Let them. You're not in competition with them. You're building a life. And life requires presence, not just achievement. That's what my dad should have learned. Yes. But he didn't learn it until it was too late. You're learning it now. At 25, you have time. Do I? Or am I already too far gone? You're not too far gone. You're aware. You're questioning. You're reaching out. That's the difference between you and your father at 25. He wasn't questioning anything, just charging forward, believing achievement was everything. You know better. I want to know better. But it's hard. Letting go of achievement. Accepting that enough is enough. It is hard. But it's necessary. Your father learned that. Just too late. I don't want to learn it too late. Then don't. Make different choices. Now. Today. Call Emma. Tell her you're sorry. Tell her you're going to change. Then actually change. Set boundaries. Show up. Be there. It sounds simple. It is simple, but not easy. There's a difference. Yeah, I'm starting to see that. We talked for 2 hours about Daniel, about patterns, about choices, about presence. When we finished, Lucas looked lighter. Thank you, Dr. Chen. This helped. I'm glad. Will you keep in touch? Let me know how you're doing. I can do that. Good. I'd like to know. And Lucas? Yeah? Your father would be proud of you, not for MIT, not for your research, but for this, for reaching out, for questioning, for choosing to be different, for learning from his mistakes. That's his legacy, teaching you what not to do. Yeah, I guess so. It's a good legacy. It's better than buildings, much better than buildings. We hung up. I sat in my office, thought about legacy, about patterns, about cycles breaking. Lucas was 25, same age Daniel was when Lucas was born, but Lucas was asking questions, making different choices, breaking the pattern. That was Daniel's gift. His failure became Lucas's warning. His mistakes became Lucas's lesson. That's legacy. Real legacy. Not what you build, what you teach, even if you teach it by failing. 3 months later, Lucas sent me an update. Dr. Chen wanted to let you know. I talked to Emma, told her I was sorry, that I was going to change. I set boundaries. 40-hour weeks. No work on weekends. Present for dinners, for ordinary moments. It's been hard. Really hard. Letting go of the need to be exceptional. Accepting that good enough is actually enough. But Emma noticed, said I'm different. Actually here. We're good. Better than good. I also reached out to Sophia, my sister. We haven't talked much since Dad died. But I called her, told her about my conversation with you, about the changes I'm making. She cried, said she's proud of me, said Dad would be too. I don't know about that, but I'm trying to be different, trying to break the pattern, trying to learn from his mistakes before they become mine. Thank you for talking with me, for helping me see. Sincerely, Lucas. I wrote back immediately. Lucas, I'm proud of you too. What you're doing is hard, brave, necessary. Keep going. Keep choosing presence. Keep showing up. Your father's story is tragic, but it doesn't have to be your story. You're writing something different, something better. That's the gift. That's his legacy. Keep in touch. I'm here if you need support. Dr. Chen. I printed the email, put it in Daniel's file. Evidence that his failure mattered, that his story changed someone, that his legacy was real. 4 years after Daniel's death, I retired. 28 years of practice, hundreds of patients, thousands of sessions. But Daniel's case stayed with me, shaped me, changed how I practiced. I became more direct, more confronting, more insistent. When I saw patterns forming, when I saw people heading toward destruction, when I saw choices that would lead to regret, I spoke up, pushed harder, insisted more. Some patients didn't like it, said I was too aggressive, too confrontational, too pushy. They left, found other therapists. That's fine, but others stayed, made changes, chose differently, avoided Daniel's path. That's what mattered. And how are you? Good. Really good. Maya is 10 now, bright, happy. Close to both of us. That's wonderful. It is. And it's because of Daniel. Because I watched him fail. Because I learned what not to do. His failure saved my family. That's significant. It is. He'd be glad to know that. I think so too. We talked for a while, about Daniel, about legacy, about the lives changed by his story. Before he left, Raphael said, "I still think about him. Every day, almost. What do you think about? The choices he made, the cost of those choices, the transformation that came too late, and I make different choices. Because of him. That's his gift. Yes, that's exactly his gift. Thank you for staying with him, for witnessing his transformation, for seeing him. You're welcome. It was an honor, even though it was tragic, especially because it was tragic." Raphael left. I packed up my office. 28 years of files, books, degrees, memories. Daniel's file went into a box marked important cases, along with a dozen others, the ones that shaped me, taught me, changed how I practiced. On my last day, I sat in my empty office. Thought about Daniel, about our 3 years together, about his transformation, and I realized something. He didn't fail. Not completely. Yes, he lost his family. Yes, he died alone. Yes, his transformation came too late for reconciliation. But he changed, actually changed, became someone different, someone honest, someone present, someone who contributed instead of dominated. And that change rippled. Through Raphael, through Emily, through Lucas, through dozens of people who heard his story. Through me. Daniel's transformation wasn't futile. It was just different than he wanted. He wanted his family back. He got legacy instead. Not the legacy of buildings, but the legacy of warning, of lesson, of lives changed by his failure. That matters. That has to matter. I closed the office door, locked it, walked away, but I carried Daniel with me. His story, his lesson, his gift, the terrible, painful gift of transformation that comes too late but matters anyway. 5 years after Daniel's death, Sophia called me. "Dr. Chen?" "Yes." "Who is this?" "Sophia Andrade. We spoke once, a few years ago, after my father died." "Yes, I remember. How are you, Sophia?" "Good. Really good. I'm calling because I wanted to tell you something." "Okay, I'm listening. I'm a therapist now. Just finished my PhD, clinical psychology. I'm working with families, specifically families dealing with absent parents. That's wonderful, Sophia. Thank you. And it's because of him, because of my dad." "How so?" "Because I understand the pain of absence, the complexity of grief, the difficulty of forgiving someone who changed too late. I lived it. So I can help others through it. That's profound. It is. And I wanted you to know that his failure, his absence, his too late transformation, it created something. It made me who I am. It shaped my calling, my purpose. Your father would be proud. Would he? Yes, absolutely. Not because you became a therapist, but because you took your pain and turned it into purpose. That's redemption. I don't know if I've forgiven him. You don't have to. Forgiveness isn't required. Understanding is enough. I understand him now, why he made those choices, how work became easier than home, how achievement became safer than intimacy. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. That's growth. Yeah, it is. Can I ask you something? Of course. Did he seem lonely in those last years? Yes, very, but also peaceful. Like he'd made peace with being alone. I think about him sometimes. In that apartment, no photos, no decorations, just space to exist. And I feel sad. That's natural. He was my father. Even if he wasn't a good one, even if he was absent. He was still my father. And I miss the father he could have been. That's grief. For someone who never existed. Yeah, exactly. How do you process that? By acknowledging it. By allowing yourself to grieve the relationship you deserved but didn't get. By building different relationships now. Ones that are present, connected, whole. I'm married now. That's wonderful. His name is James. Teacher, kind, present, shows up for everything. The opposite of my dad. That's conscious choosing. It is. And I'm grateful. Grateful I learned what not to want, what not to accept, what not to tolerate. Your father gave you that, not intentionally, but he gave it nonetheless. Yeah, I guess he did. We talked for another hour about her practice, her marriage, her healing. When we hung up, I felt something. Not quite joy, but satisfaction. Daniel's absence created a therapist, someone who understands, who helps, who heals. That's legacy. Another kind of legacy. 6 years after Daniel's death, I was invited to speak at a psychology conference about complicated cases, about transformations that come too late. I told Daniel's story, changed his name, protected his identity, but told the truth. About a patient who did everything right therapeutically but lost everything personally. About transformation that mattered but didn't fix anything. About the tragedy of waking up too late. The room was silent. 200 therapists, listening, processing, absorbing. After I finished, a woman approached me. That story. Yes, it's my husband. He's not dead, but he's on that path, working constantly, absent from our kids, believing achievement matters more than presence. And I don't know how to reach him. Have you told him? Yes, many times. He says he'll change, but he doesn't. Then you have a choice. What choice? Stay and watch him destroy your family, or leave and give him the wake-up call he needs. I don't want to leave. I know. But sometimes leaving is the intervention. Sometimes consequences are the only teacher that works. She started crying. I don't want my kids to grow up without their father. They're already growing up without him. He's there physically, but absent emotionally. Leaving might be the kindest thing. For them. For you. For him. That's harsh. It's honest. And sometimes honest is harsh. She thanked me, said she had a lot to think about. 6 months later, she emailed Dr. Chen. I left him 2 months ago, took the kids, moved out. He was devastated, shocked, said he didn't see it coming. I told him he wasn't looking, that he'd been too busy building his career to notice his family crumbling. He's in therapy now, 3 times a week, making changes, real changes, coming home early, setting boundaries, being present. I don't know if we'll get back together. Maybe, maybe not, but he's changing, and that matters. Thank you for your honesty, for your story, for the permission to do the hard thing. Sincerely, Anonymous, I wrote back. Thank you for sharing this, for having the courage to leave, for giving him the wake-up call he needed. I hope he continues changing. I hope you find peace, whatever that looks like. And I hope your kids see that someone fought for them, chose them, prioritized them. That matters more than you know. Dr. Chen, I printed the email, added it to Daniel's file. More evidence, more ripples, more lives changed by his story. 7 years after Daniel's death, I gave a TEDx talk about presence, about the cost of achievement, about the tragedy of transformation that comes too late. I told Daniel's story again, public this time, with Marina's permission, with Sophia's permission. Lucas declined to be involved but didn't object. The talk went viral. 2 million views, thousands of comments, people sharing their own stories, their own absent parents, their own workaholic partners, their own Daniel-like lives. Some comments stood out. I'm watching this at 2 a.m. Just got home from the office. My daughter's birthday was today. I missed it. Again. I'm Daniel, and I'm stopping now. Before it's too late. I sent this to my dad. He's been absent my whole life. Always working. Always busy. He called me crying. Said he's sorry. Said he didn't realize. We're having dinner next week. First time in 5 years, I'm a therapist. I had a patient exactly like this. Showed him your talk. He quit his job the next day. Said no career is worth losing his family. Thank you for sharing this story. I read every comment, cried, thought about Daniel. about how his failure was teaching millions, how his story was preventing others from making the same mistakes. That's legacy, the kind that lasts. The kind that changes lives. 8 years after Daniel's death, I published a book about presence, about work-life balance, about complicated grief, about transformation. I dedicated it to Daniel Andrade, who taught me that change is always possible, even when it comes too late, even when it doesn't fix anything, even when you die alone. Change matters anyway. Thank you for your courage, your honesty, your transformation. Rest well. The book sold well. Not bestseller, but steady. Therapists bought it. Families bought it. People bought it and gave it to workaholic partners, absent parents, achievement-obsessed friends. Each copy was a seed, a potential wake-up call, a chance for someone to change before it was too late. That was Daniel's gift. Not his buildings, his story, his warning, his legacy. 9 years after Daniel's death, Lucas called me. Dr. Chen, Lucas. How are you? Really good. I wanted to tell you something. Okay. Emma and I got married. Congratulations. Thank you. And we're having a baby daughter, due in 3 months. That's wonderful, Lucas. Yeah, it is. And I'm terrified. Why? Because I don't want to be my father. Don't want to be absent. Don't want my daughter to keep a notebook documenting my failures. You won't be. How do you know? Because you're asking these questions. Because you're aware. Because you've already made different choices. I turned down a position, department head. Prestigious, high profile. But it would have required 80-hour weeks, constant travel, no time for family. So I said, no. Good. That's exactly right. My advisor was disappointed, said I was throwing away my career. But I'm not. I'm just prioritizing differently. Yes, you are, and your daughter will thank you. I hope so. I want her to know me, to have memories with me, to feel chosen, not secondary. She will, because you're choosing that, consciously, intentionally. Thank you, Dr. Chen, for talking to me that first time, for helping me see, for keeping my dad's legacy alive. You're welcome, Lucas. And Lucas, yeah, your father would be so proud of you, for breaking the pattern, for choosing differently, for learning from his mistakes. That's his legacy. Yeah. I know, and I'm grateful. Even though it cost him everything, his loss became my lesson. That's the gift. Yes, that's exactly the gift. We hung up. I sat in my study, thought about cycles, about patterns, about legacy. Daniel's absence created Lucas's presence. Daniel's failure created Lucas's success. Not career success, life success. The kind that matters, the kind that lasts. That's redemption. Not Daniel's redemption, but redemption through Daniel. His story redeeming others, his failure preventing others, his too-late transformation inspiring others to transform in time. 10 years after Daniel's death, I received a package. No return address. Just a note inside. Dr. Chen, you don't know me, but you knew my grandfather, Daniel Andrade. My name is Clara Andrade, Lucas's daughter. I'm 10 years old. My dad told me about my grandfather, about how he was a brilliant architect but absent father, about how he lost his family, about how he changed too late. My dad says that's why he's always home for dinner, always at my games, always present, because he learned from his grandfather's mistakes. I wanted to say thank you for helping my grandfather change, even though it was too late for him. It wasn't too late for my dad. Or for me. I have a dad who shows up, who's there, who chooses me. And that's because my grandfather failed. That's because you helped him see. That's because his story became our lesson. So thank you. From a granddaughter who never met her grandfather, but who has a present father because of him. Sincerely, Clara Andrade. I cried, full sobbing, sitting alone in my study, holding a letter from a 10-year-old girl who had a present father because her grandfather failed. That's legacy. That's redemption. That's the point. Daniel died alone, with 6 people at his funeral. But his story lives. In Raphael, in Emily, in Lucas, in Sophia, in Clara, in millions who heard the warning, who made different choices, who showed up. That's what lasts. Not buildings, stories, warnings, lessons, lives changed, families saved, children who feel chosen. That's Daniel's legacy, and it was worth it. Not for him, but for all of us who came after, who learned, who changed, who chose presence. That has to be enough. And it is. It really is. 15 years after Daniel's death, I'm 83 years old, retired, living quietly, writing occasionally, but still thinking about Daniel, about his transformation, about his legacy. I receive messages still from people who heard his story, who changed because of it. Last week, a man wrote, "Dr. Chen, I saw your TEDx talk 7 years ago. I was exactly like Daniel, workaholic, absent father, obsessed with achievement. My wife was threatening to leave. My kids barely knew me. I watched your talk at midnight, after another 16-hour day, and something broke in me. I realized I was heading toward that funeral. 6 people, empty room, too late transformation. So I changed, quit my job, found something sustainable, started showing up, being present. My kids are teenagers now. They know me, actually know me. We have dinner together every night. We talk, we laugh, we connect. Last week, my daughter said, "Dad, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you chose us." And I thought about Daniel, about how he never heard those words, about how his transformation came too late. But mine didn't, because of him, because of his story, because of his warning. So thank you for sharing it, for keeping his legacy alive, for helping me change before it was too late. Sincerely, a father who's actually present. I read these messages, and I think about Daniel, about our 3 years together, about his courage, his honesty, his transformation. He failed at the things he wanted most. He lost his family, died alone, never got the reconciliation he hoped for, but he succeeded at something else, at becoming someone different, at doing the work, at creating a legacy that mattered, not the legacy he wanted, but the one we needed. His failure became our warning. His mistakes became our lesson. His too late transformation became our motivation to change sooner, to choose better, to show up. That's what I tell young therapists now. When they ask about my career, about significant cases, about what I learned, I tell them about Daniel, about the man who did everything right therapeutically but lost everything personally, about transformation that comes too late, about the tragedy of waking up after everyone's already gone. And I tell them, your job isn't just to help people change, it's to help them change in time, before it's too late, before the consequences are permanent, before they die alone with 6 people at their funeral. That's the urgency, that's the mission, that's what matters. Some patients will resist, some will deny, some will wait until it's too late. You can't save them all, but you can try, you can push harder, confront sooner, insist more aggressively. You can be the wake-up call they need before they need a funeral to wake them up. That's Daniel's lesson. To me, to all of us. Change now, while there's still time, while the people you love still want you, while presence still matters. Don't wait. Don't assume you have more time. Don't believe you can fix it later. Later might be too late. So choose now, show up now, be present now. That's what Daniel learned, just too late. But we don't have to. We can learn from his failure. We can choose before we lose. We can transform while it still matters. That's his gift, the terrible, painful, beautiful gift of a life that teaches by failing, that redeems by warning, that matters by ending badly. Daniel Andrade died alone. But he didn't die meaningless. He died teaching, warning, saving others. That's legacy, real legacy, the kind that lasts, the kind that changes lives, The kind that makes failure worthwhile, not for him, but for all of us, who heard his story, who made different choices, who showed up, who were present, who lived differently, because he failed. I'm 83 now, my own death approaching. When I think about my legacy, about what I leave behind, I think about Daniel, about the hundreds of patients I saw, the thousands of sessions I conducted. But Daniel's case stands out, not because he succeeded, but because he failed, and in failing taught more than any success could have. That's what I want to be remembered for, not the patients I saved, but the lessons I shared, the warnings I issued, the stories I told. Daniel's story most of all, the story that keeps saving people. 15 years after his death, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, as long as people hear it, as long as they learn from it, as long as they choose differently because of it, Daniel's story will matter, his failure will teach, his legacy will live. That's redemption. Not his redemption, but redemption through him. That's enough. That has to be enough. And it is. It really truly is. I close my eyes. Think about Daniel, about our last session, about how peaceful he seemed, how accepting, how at peace with being alone. And I realize something. He knew, maybe not consciously, maybe not explicitly, but somewhere deep down, he knew. He knew his time was short. He knew his transformation was complete. He knew he'd done the work, all he could do. And he made peace with it, with dying alone, with never being forgiven, with his legacy being a warning instead of a triumph. He made peace. And in that peace he found something, not happiness, not reconciliation, but acceptance. The kind that lets you breathe, the kind that lets you rest, the kind that says, I did what I could. I became who I needed to be. Even though it was too late, even though it didn't fix anything, I did it anyway, and that's enough. That's Daniel's final lesson, the one I'm still learning. That transformation is its own reward. That change matters even when it doesn't fix anything. That becoming someone different is the point, not the result, the point itself. Thank you, Daniel, for teaching me, for trusting me, for letting me witness your transformation, even though it came too late, even though you died alone, even though only 6 people came to your funeral. You mattered. Your story mattered. Your change mattered, and it still does. 15 years later, and forever. Rest well, friend. Rest well. You earned it. Dr. Michael Chen died at 85, peacefully, surrounded by family, former patients, colleagues. His funeral was full, standing room only. But before he died, he made one request, that Daniel Andrade's story be told at his memorial, that his own legacy be tied to Daniel's lesson. So they told it, the story of the man who changed too late, who died alone, who became a warning, who saved thousands by failing. And everyone in that crowded room understood that sometimes the greatest gift is the cautionary tale, the failure that teaches, the death that warns, the transformation that comes too late, but matters forever. That was Daniel's legacy, told by the therapist who witnessed it, who carried it forward, who made it mean something. That's how love works sometimes, not through success, through failure that teaches, through absence that creates presence, through dying alone so others don't have to. Thank you, Daniel, for failing, for teaching, for mattering. Your transformation wasn't futile. It was exactly what we needed.